Okay, thank you very much. So, go ahead.
Okay. May I read the list of who I'm representing before you start my time?
If they're, not unless they're present. If they're present, they can be.
Point of order, that is pretty much our process. They get to read out their names, and then they start their time.
No.
Yes. Yes.
If they're present, I wrote that, and if they're present and standing, they can. We can get John.
That's what we did with the GMO bill.
Yeah, point
No,
of
we
order.
included-
Let's have the clerk take a
I said
look.
that.
I just
Why
have
don't we
9 names.
take a minute just and figure it out? My understanding is that they're present, they stand, and go ahead. So we'll take 2 minutes. We can make spokesperson who shall list the names of all persons in the group in attendance. And and may state their home community or district, and that listing of names shall not be considered as part of the time allotted for public testimony. So the critical issue is if the persons are present, if they're not, therefore your 3 minutes will now start, and you can read the names, but it will be part of your 3 minutes, Amanda. Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Amara Karuna. I'm representing myself and the Hawaii Sustainable Communities Alliance, and also Auntie Emily Naioli asked me to say that she's also in support of this bill. I would like to say I really support it. I would suggest a $100,000 fine. You know, $1,000 is pocket change for these people. I would like to read a short statement from a friend of ours who lives in Pennsylvania where they are fracking and the effects that it's having on her area. She says, when your people talk about a few making money at the expense of all, I hope they remember the cost of unintended consequences. Here, the roads and bridges are being destroyed and no money was planned for their repair. Big trucks are running family cars off local roads. Poisoned in wells and in the Ohio River and even earthquakes that have not occurred here since prehistoric times. And by the way, those little quakes seem to crack underground gas lines. We've had lines explode in flame. So far in this area, no one's been killed or homes damaged yet. Multiple houses have been obliterated by blasts in other places. Water lines break too and create their own special problems. Ever see fish swimming down a city street? And the promised jobs? Well, turned out that our local people weren't trained for those jobs. So they had to bring in thousands of workers from Texas and Oklahoma, and that destroyed our housing. Local people were kicked out of apartments so landlords could triple the rents. I was one of them. Little campgrounds have popped up all over with inadequate sewage and water and other necessities. I could just go on and on. Just get the facts and tell them and tell them. It's very difficult to get people to listen, much less do something. Please support this bill. We don't need any of this going on here. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, Nohea Crutcher, or Crutcher, and Steve Sparks. After that. Okay. Would you please introduce yourself?
My name is Nohea Crutcher.
Nohea, okay.
Press the bottom.
My name is Nohea Crutcher, and I would like to thank Brenda Ford for bringing this bill forward. It's very, very important. I agree with all that has been said, and I would like to concentrate on something that's very dear to me, and that is the spiritual aspect. I support Bill 129. Whether we are Christians, Buddhists, whatever religion we belong to, or practicing the old way, it doesn't matter. Spiritual is the same, and on that plane, they're all equal. Doesn't matter, as far as I'm concerned. I've learned growing up that the Hawaiians believed in a one God, and a lot of Hawaiians don't realize this. But the name was so revered and special that was not mentioned. In fact, I was looking up the pronunciation of it in the dictionary, the Hawaiian dictionary, and it's not even listed. And I mentioned it to a friend, and he said, yeah, anything that's real special, the most special things in the Hawaiian culture, you cannot find written. It's all verbal, and that's it. So when you're talking about the gods, like Lono and Kanaloa, they're used kind of like Christ was used with talking to God. You use them in a way to talk to this special God. And in relationship to the volcano, it has to do with Tutupele. I grew up believing in Tutupele because of the experiences I had growing up. I was very young when everybody I knew were first-generation Christians, but if you watch their behavior, they still practice the old stuff. So I would ask my dad, well, can you tell me about it? And he'd always say, well, we're Christians now, we can't talk about it. And I would just go, oh, yeah, sure. Because anytime there was a phenomena come up that they didn't know about, they went to somebody that knew about it and got it explained. And what I'm saying is Tutupele is giving us feedback. She's had the flow go on since the first geothermal. It hasn't stopped. Now, what does that say to you? It never used to be constant. I don't remember the flow being constant when I was young. The VOG was never constant. And you had to live in a certain area. Now you can go to Maui and there's VOG all over, and Oahu's got VOG. So we're getting feedback that Tutupele is saying a'ole to geothermal and to fracking or to anything else. I want to encourage you folks to remember that this is Hawaii. I know we're a state, according to the United States, but according to the Hawaiian people, it's an illegal takeover. So I'd like you to respect us as a race. And for those that don't believe in Tutupele, at least respect that there's a lot of us that still do believe in her. And respect that the Aina and what you do to the Aina affects all of us, not just Hawaiians.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Sparks.
Hello, my name is Steve Sparks. I'm a Puna resident and a resident of the Big Island, a resident of the state. And I thank Brenda for this bill. It's very well put together. It's very inclusive. The findings and purpose is really important, especially the section on the Hawaii County Chapter, Section 13 and 19, where it says it's your job to protect us. Right? That's what you're defined as. That's what you have to do. Fracking will attract a lot of different industries to our island because it makes available cheap energy. And I have talked to many people, especially at the USGS, and up at the Volcano Observatory, they talk about that fracking will increase the amount of earthquakes between Richter scale 2 and 4 by 100%. And that's only at elevations, depths of 2,000 to 4,000 feet. Fracking like they do on the East Coast at 11,000 feet has a much greater effect. But still, do we want twice as many earthquakes? I think we had 290 earthquakes in Puna last year. That makes it for 580? That's a lot of earthquakes. And are they going to be responsible for the infrastructure when the sidewalks start breaking up? I mean, we can't let this happen. And I think this bill is really interesting. And I want to quote Karen Enoff, let's look far enough ahead when we talk about this stuff. It's really important that we pass this bill to at least start showing that we put a big stop sign on our county. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mark. James Wakefield? Jane Whitefield and Russell Rudderman. You do it the way you want to do it, Brenda. I'll do it the way I want to do it. Okay, Ms. Whitefield, introduce yourself.
Hi, my name is Jane Whitefield. I live in Pune and I've lived there for almost 20 years. I'm a botanist. I'm not real well acquainted with the harder parts of our environment, but I'm here to testify today because we don't have a county council building in Pahoa at this moment. But I was pleased to see when I drove by the old police station that there were trucks out in front, so progress is being made. So maybe we'll be able to testify at the next meeting in one of our other government buildings. I'm testifying for Bill 129, and thank you, Brenda. I haven't read the whole thing, but it's certainly a step in the right direction, which will ban fracking in Hawaii County. Fracking is mainly used to access natural gas on the mainland. It's an unbelievably dangerous and harmful process. And I'd like to let you know that we'll have a movie coming to a theater near you soon showing the horrors of fracking. It's called Gasland. Watch for it. It'll be in Pune. Even though we don't have natural gas resources, this same process can be used to widen cracks underground to access heat sources. It's called enhanced geothermal. It could cause earthquakes. Fracking will destroy our fragile ecosystem, especially in areas like Pohoiki. Protect our Aina, please. And so it is.
Thank you. Senator Rudderman, introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Russell Ruderman. I thank you for hearing this bill, and I'm glad to have the opportunity to testify. I urge you to pass this bill to protect our water table from irreversible contamination. It's been clearly shown that fracking pollutes the groundwater table and causes an increase in frequency of earthquakes. I myself am particularly concerned about the groundwater contamination issue, and I think that as an island, it's especially important for us to protect our groundwater. We really can't survive without it. Here in Hawaii, we've been fortunate to take water for granted as a resource, but that won't be true forever, and it's not true for many of the residents on our island, even today. Currently, fracking is unregulated in Hawaii. I did introduce a bill which was blocked, and I did get a resolution passed in the state Senate expressing concern over fracking, which I hope to turn into a bill next year. But there are forces working against it, and I think that for that reason it's extremely important and appropriate that the county consider such a bill to protect our island, because we don't know what's going to happen on the state level, and more than likely it's going to happen here first. Just in California, right now there are several versions of a fracking ban going through. Just yesterday, one such bill passed their General Assembly by 53 to 18. This isn't an imaginary concern. It's a nationwide concern, and the areas that are most familiar with it have had the most damage from it. I did submit some testimony, and I'm sure that all of you read all the written testimony very thoroughly and carefully, so I don't want to do anything except summarize it. But I just want to emphasize the importance of drinkable water on our island. It cannot, contamination of our water table may be irreversible, so protecting it is what we have to do. We can't fix it after a mistake. If we and by the way, I'm available to answer any questions that you may have regarding the state situation, but I urge you to pass this county bill to protect the Big Island's water table. And if we don't do that, we might find ourselves up a creek without a paddle, and that creek won't be drinkable. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Will you be here for answering questions? Are you going to stick around? Thank you.
Thank you.
Nelson Ho and Sarah Steiner.
Hello, council members. My name is Nelson Ho. I'm here on behalf of Sierra Club today. I've been involved with geothermal energy since 1982 and have been on the legislature's Geothermal Advisory Commission that came up with a report to the legislature. I think this is a very important issue, and I'm glad that Councilmember Ford has introduced it. I think there was some really great testimony here today, and I hope you take it to heart. I did submit something in writing this morning. I know it was late, so I do hope it's in your packets. I would just like to summarize by saying I do think it is a county responsibility, and that you folks have every right to protect the groundwater resources and the health and safety of the residents on our island. And I think this is an island-wide issue. It's not related to the Puna district. And I think it's very clear that our state would like to see geothermal developed in every corner of this island if it was available, and every island in the state eventually. I'd like to remind the council that geothermal energy development is a highly industrialized activity. It's not really a benign activity, and you do have industrial impacts with industrial-sized pollution running from the noise 24 hours a day at high volumes all the way to toxic gas clouds that could invade a community with no warning. I live next to a laundromat, and I find that industrial activity very annoying, and I wish that back when that laundromat was permitted, that somebody said there must be a bigger buffer zone because they're right next to their property line. So just having to smell the fumes of perfume when you have that are in these little clothes softener, little little pieces of paper that you put in and perfume your laundry. If you breathe that and have to smell that 20 hours a day, it does get to be really obnoxious. And that's not toxic, it's just noxious. I'd just like to summarize that it is definitely when state regulation and regulators are absent, it is time for the council to step in, and I think this is an appropriate decision that you folks should contemplate. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay. Go ahead.
Is this on? Yep. My name's Sarah Steiner, and I'm here for myself, but actually I'm here also for Jungle Love and the girls that I work with in Pahoa. And the fracking question, and I haven't heard any testimony. I don't think anybody's for fracking, and so while you folks are debating this, we all know that you're going to be supporting and passing Brenda's bill, because there's no reason that's been presented to you otherwise. And they've been fracking in Switzerland, several different locations, and they've actually stopped that geothermal enhanced fracking. They've shut those programs down because they're creating earthquakes, and it's directly tied to that. And we already have enough earthquakes here on the island. The island's already fractured enough. We're already fracking by all the amount of water they're re-injecting at the geothermal that's presently being done in Puna. And basically with Act 97, they took away all your county, all of our rights to like decide what to do with our land. And so this is like one way we could be proactive. You guys could like be proactive and do something good for us, because we do have a big battle up ahead still, which we are willing to fight. But I just encourage you all to please pass this bill. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Steiner. Helena Love, or Helene Love, and William Bratan.
Hi, my name is Helene Love. I am against fracking, and yes for Bill 129, and I apologize. I very quickly put this information together already, expecting that you had your minds made up that you were for geothermal. So these are some points that can apply to the existing PVG plant already, or anything new that's coming up. So, is it cost effective? The Big Island needs its own standard operating procedures with input from professionals from all fields involved, with added necessary updates. All the risks are identified first with what if plans are in place. What can go wrong during major earthquakes or eruptions, and who is responsible? There needs to be a limit set to the amount of fracking allowed within the next 35 years. No fracking for electricity used by other islands. Each island takes care of its own issues. We must be aware of any and all chemicals brought into Hawaii and used for fracking. We must be guaranteed no chemicals enter the water table. There can be no cumulative chemicals deposited or spilled over time. No flowback water or substances are analyzed and properly disposed of. There needs to be a Hawaii fracking trained engineer, environmentalist on site at all times. Hawaii must have access to all hydrogen sulfide readings or have their own. Hawaii to have access to companies' computerized readings, as the on-site drillings are recorded at the time of each drill. There can be no fracking for any other collection of other earth elements. Which city and county state department should receive money from drilling company for water used, disposal of environmental toxins, tearing down and cleaning the site after use, payment for lawyers needed by residents if issues occur. Above all, any drill should be in an industrial site area away from housing, no drilling at Po'oiki, guaranteed electricity for Big Island only, guaranteed no chemicals used and none while drilling through the water tables. Company doing drilling obligates money to repair and build roads. No fracking underneath others' properties. Companies finance its own machine shops and industrial site and hires local citizens. But I am totally 100% against fracking.
Thank you very much. Okay, go right ahead.
Aloha kakou to all of you. My name is William Braham, and I am a resident of Keahia Laka Ahupua'a, which is a neighbor of Wauokele, which is where the current fracking situation under question and scrutiny is already present. And I speak to you all with great thankfulness and respect in a very personal way, because this is a most personal issue to myself, my family, and my life mission, my work as a human being living my spiritual path under the name of Malamaki Buddha Wisdom Garden. And You all are our first and last defense for what we face here today and ongoingly, because as you've heard so often today and before time, and you will continue to hear, the state has its own agenda for us. And you all are what we have. And we need you. But also, more importantly, you need us to help you, to inform yourselves of what our true issues are. And so I know you've heard of this movie called Gasland. I'd like to ask you a question. How many of you have actually become familiar with what the topic is? If you could raise your hands.
Yeah, you don't,
What?
you don't get to ask us questions.
Oh.
Sorry.
Okay, well, I would like to provide each and all of you with a copy of this movie, because I know you're here, you're doing work. It gets long hearing all of these comments from all of these people. I would like to offer you all a copy of this film that you can watch privately, personally, and really look at it, see it on your own terms, and come to your own decisions about what this fracking is. You know, see what the history so far is in a very short amount of time, and come to your own conclusions. You know, in your own reflections, in the privacy of your own spaces of reflection, before your own God, whatever, you know, what is true to you, what is just, what's porno, and represent that for us, please. 2004, Energy Task Force, headed by Dick Cheney, gutted on the federal level all of the constraints of the Clear Water Act, the EPA, etc. We're done on the federal level. We have no recourse. We're done. If you, as our county council representatives, cannot stave this off, when it gets to the state level, we're finished. Thank you very much. And I will be in contact with all of you, generally gently chiding you. So I would like to get all of your contact information so I can send you each this DVD.
And if you do, you can give them to our clerk, and he will make sure that we get them.
I don't have them available right now.
Okay,
for
but I'm
myself.
just saying, our clerk.
You're available, generally speaking?
Yes.
I can get in contact? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Okay. Julie Chen and Judith Moreau. Or Moreau. Okay, Ms. Chen, you can start and introduce yourself.
Okay. Aloha. My name is Julie Chen. I'm a resident of Puna in Hawaii. And I am also speaking on behalf of PAWA, which is the Paradise Action Women's Alliance. And also I'm a co-founder of the Malamaki Buddha Wisdom Garden as well. And I take this issue very much to heart as well, because my family lives in this area. We have land just right near the geothermal that's taking place already. And geothermal, as you've already heard, it's unsustainable, it's outdated, it's potentially very, very dangerous for polluting our aina and our land, our water, our air, and our families. And I'm very concerned about raising my child with this taking place next door and it being taken place in other places which I believe are sacred all over Puna, with no buffer for the people that have made their homes here. I don't want to repeat too much, but another thing I want to say is that so many people are called to this island for its beauty and its purity, and to destroy that would be something that's irreversible. It would also influence the tourist economy. We have so many people who come and spend their money, tourist dollars, into Puna, and what will they do when paradise is an industrial wasteland? Also, I live near Poiki, where I take my son to go swimming. That is one of the only ocean entries in Puna. To have a geothermal site that could pollute our only ocean entry where hundreds of families play and swim and enjoy their lives is would be a tragedy, would be very sad. I also want to bring up that I feel that the land is sacred, the spirit of the land is sacred, and to drill into Tutupele and to steal her mana is not a good thing. And how does it feel to the native Hawaiians to drill into their deity? There are so many other sustainable alternatives. Specifically, I'd like to bring up solar. There are a lot of countries that are leading the way in subsidizing solar and other renewable resources, providing energy in an intelligent, practical way that doesn't put us all at risk and doesn't destroy our land. So I know that you've heard our testimony, and you have a unique and special privilege an opportunity to protect this land, our beloved home, and also the constituents that you represent. And so it is your opportunity and also your legal and moral responsibility to protect our public health and safety and this home that we all share.
Thank you very
Please
much.
pass Bill 129. Thank you.
Right.
Aloha Uhane, council members, and thank you so much, Brenda. I spoke to my cousin who
Can you
lives...
please identify yourself?
Oh, yes. My name is Judith Mora. I am a resident of Puna in the Big Island of Hawaii now for 25 years. I spoke to my cousin who lives in Switzerland, who told me that Switzerland banned the fracking project for geothermal due to the earthquakes that followed their geothermal fracking ventures. The Swiss are, to this day, feeling the earthquakes that fracking brought on to their country. This island of Hawaii is the youngest landmass on Earth and highly susceptible to earthquakes. Just last week, we had 4 earthquakes. Lava tubes fill below ground our island. Each of yours in our homes are in danger of ever-increasing and possible destruction. And so the businesses. I do have a vacation rental as a means of income, and I know that I will be losing that business if the earthquakes increase, because it's not fun being in an earthquake zone. I own my own home outright. Many people on this island do also. And none of us have earthquake insurance. The possible destruction of our homes island-wide are at stake here. I spoke to my homeowner's insurance agent who told me that we could raise a class action suit against these companies if our homes were to fall into the many lava tubes over which we live. But you know what? That would be too late. We would be out of homes. And will these people have the money to pay for this class action suit? Look at the oil spills. Do we want to bring this to Puna? We have seen worldwide that people are having so much problems with this venture, this type of venture. I am panning on the fact that you guys have more common sense than what I think you do.
Thank you very much.
Mahalo.
Okay. Carrie Dixie Clark and Timothy Lloyd.
Wake up, fresh. I am home.
Hey. You have to talk to the chair.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.